President Joe Biden called on Gov. Andrew Cuomo to resign but refused to say whether he believes the governor should be prosecuted, after an independent investigation found the New York governor had harassed current and former state employees. "I think he should resign. I understand that the state legislature may decide to impeach. I don't know that for fact. I have not read all that data," Biden said. His comments on the sexual assault allegations against Cuomo come after New York Attorney General Letitia James announced investigators had found that Cuomo harassed current and former state employees, creating a hostile work environment and violating federal and state laws. In the hours since the report's release, Democrats in and out of New York made similar calls for Cuomo's resignation, some reiterating statements from earlier this year. In March, Biden stopped short of calling on Cuomo to immediately resign following a series of public allegations, telling ABC News' George Stephanopoulos that if an investigation found the reports credible that Cuomo should resign. Biden refused to say Tuesday if he believed the governor should be prosecuted, telling reporters that he hadn't read the report, stopping short of comments he made in March when he told Stephanopoulos that he thought Cuomo could be prosecuted if the investigation found the allegations credible. The 168-page report, which was part of a civil investigation, doesn't necessarily mean that the governor will face criminal charges. Investigators said that wasn't the focus of their work and that police departments can view the evidence to determine if they want to take further action. In a video statement released after the investigation results were made public, Cuomo denied the findings and said that his behavior intended to convey warmth was being weaponized. The video included a slideshow of photos of the governor touching and kissing people, including men. Cuomo's legal response also included multiple photos of the governor hugging people, including Biden, and of Biden hugging politicians.
Asked if he condoned Cuomo's self-defense, including photos of him, Biden told reporters that he wasn't going to fly spec. "I'm sure there are some embraces that were totally innocent, but apparently the Attorney General decided there were things that weren't," he said.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.
Humanity's role in creating the climate crisis. In the last report in 2013, the IPCC said that humans were the dominant cause of global warming since the 1950s. It's expected that this time the IPCC will also outline just how much of an influence humans are having on the oceans, the atmosphere, and other aspects of our planetary systems. One of the most important questions concerns sea level rise. This has long been a controversial issue for the IPCC, with their previous projections scorned by some scientists as far too conservative. In the past, they have been so reluctant to give a plausible upper limit on sea level rise, and we hope that they finally come around this time, said Professor Arthur Peterson from UCL in London. As the world has experienced a series of devastating fires and floods in recent months that have been linked to climate change, the report will also include a new chapter linking extreme weather events to rising temperatures. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change is a UN body set up in 1988 to assess the science around climate change. The IPCC provides governments with scientific information they can use to develop policies on global heating. The first of its comprehensive assessment reports on climate change was released in 1992. The sixth in this series will be split into 4 volumes, the first of which, covering the physical science behind climate change, will be published on Monday. Many have welcomed this development. I remain hopeful that the scientific evidence will show the stark reality of a world already altered by our rapidly changing climate and will motivate all nations to deliver urgent emission reductions and the necessary amount of climate finance at 26 Colombian pesos, said Mohamed Ajasoa, who is the mayor of Accra in Ghana and vice chair of the C40 group of cities.
We only need to look out of our windows to see that the climate crisis is already here. Cities such as Accra and nations such as Ghana, which have contributed the least to greenhouse gas emissions, will experience many of the greatest impacts. One of the things that gives the report additional muscle is the fact that it is not just one particular research paper on one topic. The reviewers consider all the research carried out on each area of focus. Sometimes the IPCC gets criticized for being focused on consensus, and it's suggested that this can weaken statements, said Dr. Emily Schuckberg from the University of Cambridge. But the fact that it is a summary across multiple lines of evidence is incredibly powerful and incredibly useful. One key question in the new summary will be about the 1.5°C temperature target. The climate summit held in the French capital, Paris, in 2015, committed nations to try to limit the rise in global temperature from pre-industrial times to no more than 1.5 degrees. And in 2018, the IPCC released a special report on keeping to this target. What do world leaders need to agree to stop climate change? That report showed very clearly was that there are clear benefits to limiting warming to 1.5°C, and those benefits have only become clearer over the past 3 years, said Dr. who was one of the key authors of that study. If this report says something about the temperature limit in relation to emissions and how they are developing, it will have a political influence on 26 Colombian pesos, I think. With just a few months to go until world leaders meet in Glasgow for the climate conference that is seen as the most important since the Paris Agreement came into being in 2015, this new report will be required reading for all attendees. I think it's going to be a wake-up call, there's no doubt about that, said Richard Black, an honorary research fellow at the Grantham Institute at Imperial College London. But then again, so are some of the real-world events that we're seeing around us at the moment.
Follow Matt on Twitter.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.